I saw your face, I knew I was in love. Baby, your smile takes my breath away. And they can say what I want, girl, I don't mind. As long as you are by my side. Baby, you smile of paradise. Baby, girl, come be my love life. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause then I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love life. Inikuma. Yega ampa ilikuma. Anyway, you will come on. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love life. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love life. I need no painkiller, cause you took my pain away. You don't need umbrella, I will take the rain away. Inikuma. Yega ampa ilikuma. Anyway, you will come on.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Primetime Sunday. I am sitting in for Dennis Jara, who's usually your host. And today we'll be talking about culturally relevant education for Liberia's development. We thank you for joining us. We have two distinguished guests today who are suitably appropriate to speak on, on the topic. We have Miss Anastasia Simmons Caphart. Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, Jackie. How you doing?
Okay.
Hi, Anastasia.
And she's the founder and CEO of Teacher Consultant Group Incorporated. And she's also a member of the editorial board for the Journal of Young Adults and Children's Literature. And then, of course, we have somebody that's, I would say needs no introduction, but my own mama point, a young man, Dwight Porte. Hi, Dogba. Hi, Dwight.
Good evening, ladies. How are you doing? Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, Dwight.
Good to see you. How are you?
Hi,
Jackie.
Hi, and Mr. Porte is the CEO and founder of Porte Liberia's Child Initiative. And today they will be speaking on the work that they do to educate our young kids. We're going to talk mostly about early childhood and primary education today. And so we will start with Mr. Porte. Mr. Porte will give us a little bit more information about himself, and then we'll go right into the Porte Children's Initiative. He's going to tell us about his work in Liberia and the school that he has and how he's contributing to Liberia's development. So Dwight, it's over to you.
Good evening again, and I should say Happy New Year. I'll keep saying Happy New Year until January ends, so that's fine. Well, again, I'm Dwight Porte. I'm a father, a husband. I hold a Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing, specifically dealing with kids on ventilators and life support. So I love the work. I love the progress after the kids going up on these ventilators. They can get into functioning life. Basically, I came into the charity work that I do just on a visit to Liberia. Saw some of the things that was going on. We grew up in Liberia with libraries and school and having lunch and meals, doing school hours, and none of that was happening. So I had gone for investment purposes. And when I got there, I thought it was the need to get into charity work, and I've been involved since. I could give you a brief history as to why. I don't want to, maybe into the next segment I could do that, but at least I would give Anastasia another time to, introduce herself. Or if you want me to continue.
Yeah, it's about you.
Yes, yes. Please continue.
Oh, okay. So I got into charity work. Like I said, when I went home was just before the Ebola crisis. There was a kid that was driving me around. We had some problem with the car, and he stopped over to the mechanic. So I sat on the little shop area, and then this kid was walking by with about 8 bananas in his in the little platter, and I went on to him and asked him how much was the banana. He told me $8, and I think I gave him $10 US. And then I proceeded to ask him why he wasn't in school, and then he told me that the reason he wasn't in school was because his, the normal way of speaking, my pa and ma not pay my school fees. I'm why? And he said that's the reason. So I said okay, and then I gave him the $10. He went running. Ironically, he ran to his dad, and the dad was actually a mechanic that was doing the work. And he came back, and the dad was so happy, like, oh, I'll be able to pay his school bill. Like, what you talking about? He said, well, $10 can, register him and get him into school. So fast forward, the kid and I sat for about 5 minutes, normal boys talk. So I just asked him, what he wanted to become, at age 9, what he wanted to become when he grew up. And the kid just shrugged his shoulders. He didn't know. And that hit me hard because I remember when I was 9 years old at the Monrovia Demonstration Elementary School, I already knew I wanted to become a journalist because I used to watch the evening news with Kwame Clement and everybody. And I thought, I'm like, this is what I wanted to do. And right then and there, I called my wife. I'm like, you know what? I know I'm here trying to invest and do other things, but I think we need to get into charity work. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, there's a need. So we got into that, and that hatched the Porte Liberia's Child Initiative because we wanted to give back to academics. And as I drove around, I used to go to the Republic Library on Ashland Street. There wasn't any. I thought the need that we needed to at least start with a library, but then it progressed into another thing, and the school was born, and we started construction work.
And how is it going so far?
Well, so far we started the groundwork back in 2016. I went back, and the school is completed fast forward. We opened up the school, but there's the system in Liberia. We at the place where the government has to come and do their inspection. And of course, the school is approximately about 22 kilometers or 17 kilometers outside of Monrovia in Crossville. It's in a rural area. So my team is on the ground to go back and forth. Right now, the school isn't open because we didn't meet the deadline to open school in September. So, last year. So we're hoping that the government can come in and do the inspection and be able to, for us to sign an MOU with them so they'll be able to send teachers back there to teach the students because it's a remote area. The closest school is about close to 10 miles away. The kids have to walk, back and forth 10 miles. So this is our goal, to open up that school and provide education for that area because the kids back there, most of them never been to school there. Even if they have to walk miles to go to school. So that's what we are. And I'm hoping that, the school can expand from the 6th grade level and go up. Well, it's a 2-acre property. So we're hoping to at least build a vocational part of the school. So the older kids that are there that are too late to get into school can get into vocational training, agricultural work. And so as it stands now, we are not fully open. But the building is there, the books, the chairs are there, the necessary materials are there, but we still need to do a bathroom for the kids, and we still need to do like a cafeteria area for the kids because we want to make it modern. It's not because it's in the rural part. So we should just diminish what necessarily should be in that part of Liberia.
Okay, and if we can show some pictures. There's you. It's not how bright your light shines, rather what brightness it gives, so others might find their way to a prosperous life together. And is this school, Dwight?
Yeah, that's the school. Yeah, that
Okay.
was during the initial part where they were painting. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and then we have some. They're putting the blackboard up, the school,
Yeah.
and I remember when you were asking for donations so people could donate for benches, and they would have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
names on it. Yeah, they would have
Yeah, that's
the
those.
names
That's why
on
you
it.
see that. Yeah, because I try to bring a different style of donations. I wanted to be more transparent. So I brought in that part, and I told people if you donate $25, you can put your name or the name of a family member back in Liberia. I just wanted to have some kind of transparency because that was one of the big stickler of raising funds in the diaspora. People here in the diaspora tend to paint everyone with the same brush that, oh, you're going to raise this money, you're not going to, live up to the commitment. So that's why I did that, and thankfully you were able to contribute. So the school is there, the benches are there, the desks are there, the teachers' chairs are there, blackboards are there. So far, it's just a six classroom facility, but we hope to expand.
And how many students would it be able to
Um,
include when? Yeah.
Well, we did it in a way because at the time when we started there were about 78 kids that were there that had not been in school. But over the years, the last statistics and the last calculation we got of kids, there are about 105 kids. So if we go from the kindergarten to sixth grade, maybe at least 20 kids can fit in a classroom. But hey, I don't know what it is for Liberia standards. So whatever the standards are, that's what we will accommodate and who all can fit in the classroom. We have to fit that in based on what Liberia's standards are.
And how do you sustain the school? I mean, once it's open, because you need teachers, you need, like you say, you need lunches for the kids' breakfast. How will it be sustained?
That's what I'm trying to bring to sign that MOU with the government that they, at least when it comes to the academics and their curriculum, they will fill in that and they will be able to pay for the teachers. I'm hoping that, when we sign the MOU, that at least they will be excited that a school is built in that area. There had never been a school built in that area. That village been there since the 1900s. My dad and my family is from that area. People recognize the Porte name when we got there because my dad is from that Crosserville, Pennsylvania area. So they were excited. So the goal is that between now and maybe May, all of the necessary work will be done that we can present the school to the government and they will be able to put that school on their payroll to have teachers come there and they can fulfill that part of paying teachers. As far as providing meals for the kids, again, I will hope that we can raise enough money. So even if we don't have to feed them, 3 meals a day, but at least give them something for them to be able to come to school. Because Liberia, that's the only way you have kids coming to school. You got food. I'm not trying to, bring them down, but once you got something to give them, they will come to school. So I'm going to depend on raising some money, some good friends like you and other folks who help me. And I will tell you, this school was built from Facebook, from donations from Facebook. I had no big donors. You always saw me on Facebook putting there, if you give me $25, I'll give you a t-shirt, I'll give you a cap. And this school was built. That's why I always brought whatever I was doing on Facebook, even if it was a little thing, I always had it out there so people could see the progress from where we are. And so I'm hoping that people will be able to help us so we'll be able to feed the kids during school hours.
And will the school be 100% free?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's free. It's not yet. I mean, the story. I heard the other day that there hasn't been a public school building everywhere for the last 40 years. There's no way that I'm going to go and get into a system. And people over there depend on farming and coal work. They're not going to be able to pay tuitions. There's no way I will be in this great country and be blessed and go back and build a private school in a village. No, it will be 100% free. The goal is to provide stationaries, hopefully uniform, even if it's 2 suits of uniform. And my wife and I was talking, she said, maybe if we can get the parents involved, that they would be employed and that they would be able to wash the kids' uniforms and pay the parents for doing that. It's a broad, it's a big project, and that's some of the things we're looking into.
Okay, I guess one last question is: do you foresee your school burgeoning to be build other places, or are you just going to stay in Cruiserville?
It was the dream. I always tell my wife, I'm like, if we can do it in one area, we can expand. That's why I called it the Port Liberia's Child Initiative, and that's why I took it outside of Montserrat, outside of Monrovia, though it's in Montserrat, because everything is so concentrated in the Monrovia, in that little 75 miles radius. We have to move outside and be able to help other people in rural parts. Yeah, if I win the lottery on Wednesday, believe me, that's what I plan to do, to move, to build one school in each county in Liberia through all the 43,000 square miles.
Okay, so before sorry,
I say you can count on me for that. If I do win the lottery, you'll see me on the plane the next week going to do that. Yeah.
Okay, we have a school, and we have Dwight explaining about how the school came to be. Now we're going to transition to a lot of schools in Liberia, a lot of early childhood primary schools. And we're going to talk about how the education can be one of not only quality, but culturally relevant to our society. Before we transition, I wanted to just show the Sustainable Development Goals. And number 4 is quality education. So not only quality education, but UNESCO has targets. So the target 4.1, by 2030, they will ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. And then for early childhood, the target 4.2, that all girls and boys have access to quality early education development, care, and pre-primary education, so that they are ready for primary education. So Dwight has built a school, and Dwight is awaiting the government's approval to open the school, and also an MOA with the government to be able to operate the school, in an effective and equitable manner. So now we're going to move to Anastasia, who's going to talk to us. First, she's going to tell us a little bit about how she got into this culturally relevant education. Then she's going to walk us through what it means to be culturally relevant. And then Dwight and I are going to jump in, and the interchange going to begin. So Anastasia, up to you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. Hi, Dwight.
Hi again.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Anastasia Simmons, Rocktown, Monrovia, went to St. Teresa's Convent, and all my background, I would say, is in early childhood education. I did education at LU and then came to the States, did early childhood and instructional technology. So my work in Liberia, I will trace it back to my kindergarten classroom, where I had 2 beautiful, wonderful teachers. One was Sister Sinfor, and the other one was Teacher Marie Badio. These 2 women helped me to see exactly what education should be about. So my experience in that kindergarten class has been the guide for me throughout my life. So when people talk about early childhood education, I'm like all pumped up and ready to move. At St. Teresa's at the time, our classroom was, big. The teacher, Sister Sinfor, she was very artistic. I want to do some drawings. In kindergarten, I learned to read when we read about Old Lord and his farm with Miss Percy and all of those people. So that's the kind of experience that I think that, children should be able to enjoy when you sit in the classroom. So even that classroom, when I taught kindergarten, and at the end of a good day, if I could close my eyes and just see myself back at the convent in that classroom, I said, I did my job today. So that's the kind of feeling that I have when it comes to early childhood. And then when I graduated from convent, from LU, I went to teach at convent. And convent went and closed their kindergarten. Though I wasn't a kindergarten teacher, but most of my lunch period, I would go down to the kindergarten and just relive my days and just see, children, have fun looking at children learn and, walk through there. So when they shut it down, I shut down too. I left them, went into my mother's house, and then opened up a kindergarten. Because I was determined that that foundation that I got from convent, these children deserve it, so that when they get to first grade at convent, they will have it. So that's what we did. And we set up the kids who came to us, went to the convent, and then later on, convent brought back the kindergarten. So that was it. Then the war came about in 1990. Things were all sort of way. So I decided, got a lot of materials, send them to St. Teresa's convent. Father Francis at the time, Bishop Michael Francis. It was intended for the convent, but then he shared it, with all the other schools. So that was fun. Then when I became active in the Alumni Association, I said, you know what, we need to do teachers education, teachers training. So I got into teachers training with convent again. The RCRC sent their teachers, and we have public and private schools in there. So then the organization came about, teacher consulting group, where early childhood practitioners, we all came together and decided we have to give back. We had sponsors, we collaborated with the class of 78 of St. Teresa's Convent, and then we had sponsors all over the place. But the intent there was for us to, teach, train teachers, and we did pretty much what we were set out there to do. Our concentration was in reading, because reading is still a problem, but that's where we focused. And after that, after years of doing it, so this was 2009 and went on before COVID came in, kind of slowed down stuff. But when it slowed down, it didn't slow us down, because we still continue to send materials, to have the virtual learning. But then we tried it online, but you know what it is with technology, so we couldn't really do it. So what we did was we send the materials, radios, all of those things we had, them get there so that it would help the children. So we prepared packages for the children. And then also we gave feeding and stuff like that. So that covered that. But then during that period, we decided to rebrand and re-image our organization. That's when we got William Porte. He came in there and he helped us to, do the re-imaging and rebranding. And that's when the whole idea, because then we had to reflect on our practice. There were, what is it that was missing throughout this thing? How relevant is what is the teaching that we are doing? How relevant is it? Can these children retain what we are teaching? So then we decided, you know what? We have all kinds of approaches in learning. Let's look at the culturally relevant pedagogy. Let's see what is it that's missing. We know it's the culture. We know children can learn, but it must be realistic. There must be some connection. If they can connect, then it becomes abstract to them. So that's when we decided, okay, we will go in with the culture relevant pedagogy, and we will also help teachers to use the materials that are around them to create learning aids for the students. Because sometimes, okay, like the Ministry of Education will look in the curriculum, okay, you're talking about a cube, connecting cubes and all those things. We know we don't have it in the village, because our focus is mainly in the village. We know we don't have it, but guess what? They beat PAM nuts all the time. So we have those PAM kernels. So clean the PAM kernels up, bring them to school, and we make counters out of that. So if little Johnny is doing his math, guess what? He has a bag of counters right there that he can, the PAM kernels, he can use that and, and do his work. So that is our focus. We want to make learning meaningful. We want to bring the culture, let the children know that this is important. The language, all of those things, we want to bring them into the classroom. So pretty much that's where we are. And what you do, West, but
so that's culturally relevant curriculum. And I don't know if you remember this poem we used to recite when we were little at school. I used to think that snow was white, and then I saw it blue one night, and I'm like, I didn't even know snow. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And actually, we need to do things like that. We need to bring languages back into the classroom. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that people say, "Oh, you talk about Zambia a lot," but Zambia, you have to take English, but you have to take one of your indigenous language. You have to take it alongside. And I think in Ghana, the curriculum from I think 4th to 9th grade, you have to learn indigenous language. I know in the university they are teaching Pele, but by the time you get to LU, it's too late. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's too late. So Anastasia. So what about other ways of including indigenous methods in the curriculum, like measurements, degrees and things like that.
Okay. Now, when we talk about measurement, interestingly, there was a research done years ago, and they studied uh, the Western style uh, uh, teaching of measurement, and they studied some children from Bond County. And they found out that the children in Bond County, they perform very well. Because you see, when it comes to measurement, it's a way of life. Children in Bond County rice, they have the rice. So they are used to constantly measuring that. So when you bring things, if you are teaching a child, and that thing that's familiar, that thing that's in his environment, if you bring it into the classroom, it makes sense. I can make the connections. Okay, so if you're talking about solid, about measuring solid stuff, and I know that, okay, we got to go do rice, we got to do this, we do that. So, those kinds of things. So I'm teaching, okay, let me do a little bit of science. I'm teaching about temperature. What's the boiling point? Well, when will water boil? Take those children out of the classroom, bring them outside. You put a fire hot down there. You put a pot over there. Everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. Most times, we don't have the thermostat. So if this teacher has one thermometer or whatever, so the children now, when that thing starts to boil and he puts it in there and they see how far it goes,
Yeah.
and everybody looks at it, it makes sense. Oh, so it's 100 degrees Celsius or it's 212 Fahrenheit, whatever measurement they're using. So it makes sense. The next time Keman sees that, water is boiling, she might just say, oh, it's at so and so temperature. She knows right away. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But before I show you the picture, you look at the picture, I say, when it gets over here. But how do I know when it gets there? I have never seen it in action.
Right.
But now the next time when I see the water boiling, I know that it has gotten up there, So all of those things, their children begin to make sense. We talk about culture. In the village, how do they settle their problems? Okay, you have a problem. People, when you look in the village, the first thing you say, y'all, let's meet somewhere. Everybody goes to that square, to
The
that
Palaver
circle.
hut.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is there. You don't tell them where
Yeah.
to sit, but when they sit,
No.
they sit in a circle.
Yes.
So then why should my classroom
Be in a
be
square.
in a square? Why should my classroom be
Four
stuck
walls.
up like this? Why should it be? No. Bring the classroom is an extension of their lives, their daily life, their culture, their homes. Bring it in there so that when you say sit, well, let's come and talk about this thing. Everybody goes there. It's time that communal thing. Today we talk so much about teamwork. Yet in our classrooms, in our Liberian classrooms, there's no place for teamwork. Everybody is my thing. I sit at that armchair, I do it like this. Even in a kindergarten class, I do it like this. No. In kindergarten, all I need to know, I learn right there. You learn how to settle those problems. So the constructivists would say, children, they construct their own knowledge. They do it. Nobody say in Liberia let's say we have the problem of trash. Bring that situation to the classroom. Talk about the trash. Leave it with those children. Let them start brainstorming, bouncing off each other. By the end of that lesson, trust me, you would have had a solution. You would have had the problem will be solved by the children because they know exactly what will impact their lives. So they make suggestions for those things to happen. So we as educators, we have to give children that room. Teacher can't be walking around the classroom with
a ratting.
With a ratting, what they say that.
When you hear that, when you
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
demonstration school. I got you.
That's my favorite principal. So we can't have that happening anymore. You know, teacher, you are a facilitator. Walk around. Intervene when it's necessary.
Yeah.
Talk, ask open-ended questions. Don't say what all day. Why? How? Okay, what if? You read a story to the kids and then you say, give me a different ending. Yeah. So the child gives a different ending, but what did you base the different ending on? Yeah. So the child should be able to say, okay, based on the elements in the story, I decided so, and then that's how I came to this. Something like that. Let the children talk, let them think. So I know sometimes when it comes to that, then we have a problem. Our culture says the big man is always right. So we may have a little clash here and there, but if we take our time and explain it and let it make sense, then our children will do better.
Yeah, I think you and you're so right, because when we do the literary hour, I always say, know your own truth, right? We're on this journey, but question things. Don't just accept everything. And I think accepting things from, as you said, the big man comes from your childhood. When a teacher says this, and you cannot challenge, not challenge, you cannot say, excuse me, what about this way? So I think as our kids are growing up, we have to be able to say to them, what do you think? I mean, I know I used to say that when my American friends, they would say, oh, my kids are my friends. And I'm like, they're not my friends. I'm the mothers. They're not my friends. But you can still be the mother and say, well, what do you think?
Yes.
So Dwight, before we go back to Anastasia, let's talk more about this culturally relevant curriculum. And you're in trouble because your school is not open yet. So how knowing this, and of course you know about this because, like you say, you went to demonstration school, but you know about this culturally relevant curriculum. How are you going to select teachers, and how are you going to ensure that the curriculum in the school should be culturally relevant to the people in Crusoeville?
And I tell you, just listening to Anastasia, my brain is just, because I have benches in a culture relevant environment. Maybe I need to have where they all sit in a circle. And I'm just visualizing this, that remember when we were in school, we all sat in benches, and I said to you, now you got me feeling guilty. Why we didn't protest to sit in circle? Because we have people sitting in rows. Mm-hmm. You can't even interact with the person sitting in the row in front of you or behind you. You have to turn.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we have to bring this thing back and say, hey, I think the villagers or people in the rural area are right when they build the palava hut. They make it in a circle. So when you have a circle, when Anastasia sit to my right and you to my left, Jackie, I can see your interaction. Yes. I can see your expression when the teacher put something on the board that is difficult for me and say, maybe Dwight didn't get that arithmetic correct because he wasn't paying attention. You will see my facial expression. So coming back to your question, I think the way I plan to do it again, I'm going to involve the government of Liberia. I'm over here. We in the diaspora, how much influence do we have on those people over there? Until now, as I've engaged the DEA or the DEO over there just to go to the school, it's been almost 4 months. He's yet to go there. At least go there and do the check marks and tell me, okay, you got X here, you failed here, you got F here, you got A here. They have not done that. I spoke with Ambassador Patterson over here. He was here in Houston. I told him about it. I said, look, we got a school over here. This is where we are. This is the hiccup. Can you get me over that? Nothing yet. So to answer your question, I will reach out to Anastasia and I hope she can help me. I think we had a conversation before my cousin, right?
Conversation. And I will get to that when we get to. Anyway, come back to
So
the classroom.
yeah. But good thing we on here again. We got to restart. I think the COVID came in and
Oh
everybody.
yeah, that's because of COVID. We all slow down.
Yeah,
Yes.
but to tell you the truth, Jackie, this is what I'm hoping to do. I'm going to involve the school. I mean the government. I mean, I don't know many people there, but I'm hoping on one of my trips back home, I'll go to the ministry. I'll get the DEO and the CEO or whatever county educational officer over there, and bring the proposal to them and say, hey, this is what we have. How can we incorporate? And I'm going to try to involve. I'm good friends with the town chief over there. I talk to him regularly, so he can tell us what they need and what would best suit them in their culture.
Yeah, well, they had a culturally relevant action, getting the guava
Yeah.
switch to beat us. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but Anastasia, let's look at a video of the classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, of one of the classrooms, and then you can take us through it.
Oh, okay. So now this place is in Lofa, Wanjima.
Okay.
And the lady in the picture is Mayere Himegama.
Okay, I paused it until you explain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayere used to be in the States. She went home. She's in Lofa, and this is her classroom. If you look, this classroom, you see it's spacious, it's bright. Now, when we look at our classrooms in Liberia. You build a school, you put the Colombo blocks.
Columbus, yeah.
Yeah. One time I went to a school, I asked the lady why. She said, oh, during the war. I said, but the war is over. Why are you keeping these children trapped? There's so much space out there. The children are used to space. When you go in our villages, you see the children running around, the sun is shining, they're used to sunshine, they're used to air. But when they come to the classroom, where they're supposed to find so much peace and everything else, that's where they're so congested. That's where it's so dark. So how do they learn? So those are things we have to as educators, we need to redesign our classrooms.
Yes.
We need learning centers in our classroom. You have your little round tables or something where you can have a special group there with your little kidney bean shaped table. They're sitting right there. You do your little assessment right there. You need a place, you need space where you as the teacher, you just need to be walking around. Perhaps you have your little checklist or you have your little book where, you just write down what children say. At the end of the day, when you sit down and you look at your notes, you don't even need to give a test, because when you look at those notes, you will say, okay, this was the standard I taught today, right? You know what all that standard entails. So when you look at the notes, you look at little Johnny there who is able to argue with his classmate that 2 + 2 is 4, and he can rearrange it to make 3 + 1 4. You know that he understands. You know how to make 4. He can make it in so many ways. So when you're checking off, little Johnny is ready. Okay? So those are the things that, will help us as teachers. But then there's the barrier. You have 100 kids, now let's say 50 kids in the classroom. You have 50 kids. The room is all cramped. The teacher can really do something like that. But if that room has 50 kids in it and is big enough for the teacher to move around, for the children to move around and do the things they're supposed to do, trust me, the teacher can get that done. So it's this whole idea of how you set that room up. Because you have to, the classroom has to support learning.
Yes.
If it's not supported, you sit there, you can be the best teacher there is. You will have nothing accomplished because your surroundings, they're not supporting anything. Look at the walls. Most of our walls are bare. You need a print-rich environment. And you don't even need, like the first day of school, I get into your classroom, everything is there. No, you don't need that. Just give the basic. Let the room grow along with the children. As they learn something, they have their creations, put it up. Let it grow. Let it grow. Just like you have your word wall, you don't come the first day of school and put 50 words on that board. No, they didn't learn 50 words. You don't even know if they know one. But if this week you taught 3 words and you put the 3 words because the master that they can refer to, then that's fine. You know, that's what they did. Let the room grow with the children, not the children trying to catch up. Let the room reflect those children, their abilities. That's what it's all about. So when I get in the room and I see certain things, I know where the children are. Because those things you see, they are not on one level. You will see who the high achievers are. You will see who's struggling. You will see where you need to have interventions and all of those things. Your room can tell that story. It's not buying those commercial things and putting them up. They're fine. They make the place look fine. But do those things reflect those children's abilities? You know, that's the question. I come and put all these things in the room, but
and I think one of the things that's missing before Dwight gets in, one of the things that's missing in the aesthetics and the architectural framework of is the communal nature of Africans. You know, because I mean, you know, when at the University of Johannesburg they have like a courtyard, so people will have to pass that courtyard. You know, so you're not in a silo, and then they have these stools. They are big boulders, and what they've done, they've smoothed the boulders and they put Zulu proverbs, Shona proverbs, you know, and so people can sit there, they can read it and say, oh, I wonder what this means, you know, and ask the other person. So I was looking at the University of Liberia, you know, they build it like a prison, you know, just these huge, massive buildings, you know, and they're not taking advantage of the space. You know, where is the communal courtyard that we can sit? Where is the place that we can chill out? I mean, we used, even at the University of Liberia in Monrovia, the courtyard, I mean, the garden was all the way by the executive mansion, right? But we did have TH and we had the Palava huts that we could sit under. So I think that schools should have places where students can congregate, you know. And Dwight, I was looking at your school. I was thinking about your school when Anastasia was speaking, and I know that you've built the classrooms, the 6 classrooms, but you're talking now also of a resource center library and things like that. So I would hope that you will do it in like a square or a circle, so that kids can come and congregate, you know. But speaking about culturally relevant curriculum, you know, looking at I was trying to open the curriculum for the Department of Education, the Ministry of Education in Liberia. And they do have, you know, they have things like describe your family life, you know, talk about what you and your parents, what they do, you know. But again, when you go to the curriculum, at the end of the curriculum, there are these links. And if you look at it, and I'm sorry that I can't open it. I mean, it's open on my computer, but it seems as if I can't share. There are links at the bottom, but every one of those links that you click, they're sending you to some European website. Some, you know, and listening to Anastasia, they even have a dictionary right online that you can click. And I'm thinking, you know, that it will be so nice, because what if these kids don't have access to the internet? What if the words that you're going to be teaching for that day, why don't you print it out? You know, or tell the students, this is the word, you know, draw something that relates to this word and put it on. Because you're right, you know, the walls are bare. I never saw no map or anything when I was in my school. But this is also a great opportunity for those who are listening to decide that, you know what, maybe we can send maps, we can send educational posters to Mr. Porte, you know, so he can send it to Liberia for his walls. You know, I mean, you can go to any thrift store. You don't even have to go to the thrift store, $1. You can have these huge maps that you could send to Dwight. Dwight, is there an email that they can write to you, or can they contact you through your Facebook Messenger, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Facebook, and I also have a Facebook page for the Port Liberia Child Initiative. And
Yeah.
also speaking about that's why when we started doing the painting of the building, I had an artist actually draw on the walls. That's what
Yeah.
he did, like things with frog and banana and palm nut. That's why I told him I didn't want no bare walls. I wanted
Yeah.
the walls to have these images so the kids could look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yes.
have a Facebook page, the Port Liberia Child Initiative page on Facebook. That's why I do most of my interactions on.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one thing is, I mean, this is not about primary education, but I don't know if they're doing it in other cities. But where I live, those boxes that are on the street, what are they? Electrical boxes? Those transformer
Where?
little boxes, power outlet boxes. They are attached to some of the light poles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's backup for backup. Yeah.
yeah. All of them in the city where I live, they have artist drawings. Drawing of the waterfalls, drawing
Hmm.
of a specific area in the city. So you can look at it and say, "Oh, I know where this is. I know."
Right.
And sometimes I think that the mayor also could also make a very livable, energetic city like
Right.
Liberia, to say, we could paint some of the walls, we could write things, or you could even use one of the walls as a blank canvas to say, please do not litter, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
put the trash in the bin, or to say, keep Liberia clean,
Right.
things like that. Keep Monrovia clean. Things like, please wash your hands. So those things are not just on billboards, but some of the buildings could have them that the kids could look at, or even adults who throw things on the ground and look at and see that they're able to make this more culturally relevant. Yeah.
And speaking, let me I just add there because I mean, Anastasia, you Jackie, when you go home, and if I give you a letter or something to give to someone in Liberia, you literally have to get to Painesville Railway Junction, call the person
Yeah.
to give you direction. Go past the old man with the collar, past the guy who the carpenter shop. So you speaking about those things being painted. These are things that we can use since we don't have no road signs and what. These are the things that we could use. So if the
Yes.
person comes, like you
Yes.
talk about, oh, you see the waterfall right there. At least they're not just you're not looking at if that old man didn't come today to Friday color, you lost that direction. You will not get to where you need to go. So these are things that we could all, I mean, it,
Yeah. The fact is that you must make learning relevant to the kids.
yeah,
You
yeah,
must make, because some kids, they are going to school in the morning, they are crying already. They don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
You must make them want to go to school. It must be a place of learning. But as
yeah,
Anastasia said, the environment must
yeah,
nurture the spirit and the soul, as well
mm,
as,
yeah,
as well as, if a child is coming to class, let's say the bench is hurting their bottom, and their
mhm,
mom, put some of those little soft leaf or something for them to sit down on. Let them sit on it. You don't
mhm,
have to wait for cushions from like America to put it on a chair. Things like
yeah.
that are culturally relevant as well. I think, Anastasia, there's another video that you have.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, do you want to
Yeah.
explain that before I put it on,
Oh,
or
okay.
should I? Okay, let
That's
me.
one of the parents who works with the school. So another thing, we fail to use our parents, but this person is a parent volunteer. So that's another important resource that we have in our communities that we fail to do. So he comes in and they're getting the instruction in Loma. So
Oh
this is a
wow.
good. I mean, and this is Liberia. Look at the classroom. This is Liberia. We're talking about. We're talking about
Yeah,
working.
and we're talking about
Yeah, and
Lofa
these people
too.
are not
In
lofa, and these
Lofa,
people are not paying a
yeah,
penny. But now
in
we ask,
Lofa, yeah,
when you see something like this, it makes you want to say, okay, I will donate to this, donate to
yeah,
this. Imagine
yeah,
if she had more, what she would be doing, you know?
right.
So the classroom is bright.
I
And
like that.
you can't ask for any more than this. The children are happy. That's what you want to see. These children all the way here wouldn't know that these children are doing such great stuff down here because they're not in Monrovia. But
Right.
somebody in Lofa is looking out for them. And that's what we need to do. So things like this, like, okay, Dwight now is in Courageville.
Brentella.
Yeah, it needs to happen there.
Yeah.
It needs to happen there. You come in there and you're like, where am I? You know, you get in here, wait a minute, where am I? And when you can ask yourself a question like that, you know something's happening because you've been coming this way with all kinds of stuff along the way. And then finally you get in here, it's so peaceful. You see happy children. You see children doing what they want to do, you know, what pleases them, what makes them to learn. So this is the kind of environment we're talking about, right in Loudoun County.
And it also brings the parents, you know, sometimes parents feel left out, you know, but you can bring them. I mean, you know, one of the things that I think that we've left out is like the older women, you know, the traditional women, you know, talking to the young girls about decorum, how to dress, how to carry themselves, you know, how to protect themselves, you know, how to speak out when they feel uncomfortable and things like that. I think that we've left a lot of resources that we can use. But let's hear this parent for a few minutes.
Beautiful.
Pick up. Amen.
Sir, this is properly in the chair. He threw all his material down.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually he's also the little boy is also teaching and asking questions and learning the language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is
I think they should be carried all throughout Liberia because
we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
So we have a consultant, a cultural consultant, and then we have a school that's in the making that has been completed. And what better way, you know, that Mr. Porte can look at Anastasia's way of teaching that is not really her way, but that she's telling us that, look, this is what can be done in the classroom. So Dwight, we're thinking that there's going to be another school, but the school that you're going to open, that when is it going to be open? Do you know?
I'm hoping September this year that would be our first enrollment. By then, the government would have gone in and signed this MOU and say, okay, we'll send teachers here and put the teachers on their payroll, and all we have to do is provide little meals here and there for the kids. So that's our goal. Because the school year opens in September and closes in June. So this September 2022 will probably be the first sitting days for our students out there.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And we forgot to put this, but yes, the culturally responsive education, right, Anastasia? It seeks to empower students educationally and to expand their capabilities in other spheres, including social, emotional, and political arenas, by making students' own skills, languages, and attitudes meaningful in the classroom. Maybe
I think that's what we saw.
Yeah. And then
because they make political decisions. They go over and talk about the trash. So they come up with solutions for how we can curb all this trash business. That's a political decision they're making to better their environment.
And they're very fair. I think kids are
Yes.
very fair in hashing out things because conflict resolution is also a part of that. You know, yeah. In fact, we had a discussion one time where we're talking about WASH and how there are a lot of schools. You know, I mean, Dwight is one step ahead. He has bathrooms and things. I don't know, Dwight, coming down memory lane. If you remember, I used to go to Mr. Montgomery School on Mama
Yeah,
Point.
I know. Yeah, Mama Point.
And
Yeah,
Mr. Montgomery School, they didn't have it had a
but
bathroom, but I didn't like the bathroom. And every
you had
time
to come home.
I would run home to my house to use the bathroom. We're discussing the shortages of bathrooms, especially for young girls. You know, and this
Running water.
yeah, this person said, oh, you know, we used to have, I think a Swedish NGO used to come. But if you're teaching civics, what
Yeah,
better way to teach civics than to say, you know, let's put volunteerism in action. Let's
right.
build a bathroom. Because believe me, and I'm sure you both know, if the students help and they build that bathroom, if somebody
They
is making it
appreciate.
dirty, they will tell them, don't dirty my bathroom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they own the process and they own the product, you know.
Yeah.
So they will keep it clean. They will say, no, don't spoil my bathroom. And these qualities, they translate and they carry over into adulthood. You know, when
Yeah.
the kids get big, they're able to say, you know, this thing that's in Liberia is mine, you know, and I
Right.
can protect it instead of letting other people do things for you. Yeah, I think so. Okay.
And remember most of our schools back home, remember all the walls used to have people donuts from here on the walls, you remember?
Yeah.
So if we can just do that, if the mom or dad help build that bathroom or that little place, and we can take their pictures and put it on the walls, those kids will remember, oh, my mom and dad did this.
Yes.
What Anastasia is talking about, that's a political statement right there, because if I did this, I'm putting my picture up there, like what our politicians do back home. So they owning the thing that they did.
Yeah. And it's one of the photographs that I don't have, but Dwight sent this photograph where people who've donated also, their names are on a plaque, you know, so
Yeah.
people can come
Yeah.
and see and say, you know what? Oh, you know, my grandmother helped to build this school. You know, my
Yeah.
grandfather helped to build this school, and maybe I can do the same. You know, so,
Yeah.
so there are a lot of ways, you know, especially incorporating languages, Liberian languages, you
Yeah.
know, into schools.
Early childhood, especially from the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I see even in South Africa and even with the Confucius Institute, people are saying, oh, but they're teaching Chinese. Well, the Chinese are paying for it. You pay for it too. Teaching the language, you know,
Yeah.
because like in South Africa, it wasn't the South African government teaching Chinese. The Chinese government said we will pay for the teachers to teach it. You know, now if you're carrying on your development agenda, people forget that language is also a resource.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's a resource, and you can use it. You know, you can strengthen. I mean, even in the United States, like the United States don't have a lot of these languages, but they teach. They gave you these huge scholarships for less commonly taught languages. You know, languages that they find is dying out. They want it to live.
Everything.
Yeah, so they have these huge grants, you know, about it, and keeping learning alive. You know, I mean, I know they have debate clubs, they have things like that, you know, but also getting people from the villages to tell stories. You know, that's something. And Dwight, I'm giving you a lot of curriculum ideas.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm taking notes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you
I
have,
have
you have the people in the village can do those things. You have them
Yeah.
there. And even there's another thing the way we assess children. You know, right now everything is a B, C, D. No,
Yeah.
let's make it authentic. Again, you have to have that classroom that gives you that space and where children can do what they're supposed to do. Okay, so like in kindergarten, we teach children how to read a rubric, how to work in accordance with a rubric. You ask a child to write a sentence. And there are certain things you expect. You expect that he will begin with a capital letter. You expect that he will end with a punctuation mark. You expect that there will be proper finger spacing and all of that in there. And then you also expect that the picture that you use has to match the writing. And I expect that your work is neat. So those are the things that I expected of the child. The child gets the work, the child starts to do the work. Then you give the child a chance to self-assess, because then he looks at the rubric. Okay, I've written my sentence. Did it begin with a capital letter? He looks at, okay, there's a little happy, sad face. He gives himself his happy face, and he goes through all of those things that you ask him to do. Then when he's through, he brings it along with his rubric that is attached, and you go along, you look at it and you go there and you check everything, and it's fine. That child understands exactly what it means to write a complete sentence. He understands the mechanics. He understands that a complete sentence makes sense. So now a child who's taught that way and goes through life, goes throughout his schooling, knowing the expectations. When that child is in a position of trust and is faced with the millennial challenge goals and say, this is what we need our people to do, he will call his staff and tell them, these are the benchmarks. I expect us to be at so-and-so point, okay? And everybody will work for that point. Nobody wants to go down. So he already set the benchmark. That's because it didn't start when he went to that job. It started from that kindergarten classroom where somebody told him what the expectations were. And he looked at the expectations. He said, I want to be an exemplar. So I am going to make sure everything is to the T. Well, he said, I'm a bit challenged here, but I would make sure it's very good. So he puts himself somewhere where he will be successful. He goes to work, he will be successful. And that's the problem we're having today. He can read benchmarks. He understands what benchmarks are because in his kindergarten class, he learned what rubrics were. He learned expectations and he learned to achieve those expectations. That's what we need in our schools. There's no magic to it. We just needed a commitment and the resources to help the teachers.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why primary education is so important. Early childhood education. By the time the child reaches high school, you've lost the child.
Oh yeah.
Because the foundation has not been built. And Anastasia and Dwight. I mean, we always say that. We may have gotten higher degrees here, but we're educated in Liberia. And it was that foundation that enabled us. But if the child is selling in the street and you say, oh, the child is coming to school and it's 6th grade, that child doesn't have the foundation, so what are you going to do to teach the child, to reach the child? And so early childhood education is very, very important. And I know that it's free education in Liberia, I guess, but there are a lot of people, we still see that are not in the classroom, and that's very sad. So let's just look at the early childhood budget, right? From the Liberian budget, it has gone up from 115,750, I guess, in 2020. No, I think there's something missing. 1,157,000 into 324,200. Oh, the budget has gone up. Okay, basic and secondary education allotment went from 1,365,000 in 2020 to 2,765,000 in 2022. And then the provisions for classroom furniture for public schools went from 700,000 in 2021 to 0, or maybe they haven't allocated anything yet, right? And this other one is just a budget line. Forget about that. But educational materials and supplies in 2022 was 1,517,000. But it's projected for 2023 to be
750.
Yeah. So my thing is, we can, when we're saying that they say I think 15% of African budgets should be for on education, and we said Liberia has gone even more than that. But I think our problem is where to place it.
Yeah.
That we have the money, but where to place it? Foreign travel is good, but we need the bulk of that money to go to early and primary childhood education to be able
Right.
to build the foundation. So that's just my
Yeah, we do.
yeah. Getting like you say, now we become knights of the round table in King Arthur's court. We need round
Yeah.
tables.
We need round table
We need
there.
round tables,
We
and we
need
have
round
a
table.
lot. I mean, how can a country that exports timber
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
not have chairs in the classrooms?
That's the
You
question.
know,
Right.
it's amazing. So those are things that we should have. We should have, the round table. We should have chairs. We should have brightly colored rooms. We should have
Rooms. Yeah.
walls. Yeah, that should be canvas for young kids. And things like that. But coming back to the community, and I wanted to ask Dwight, how I guess how agreeable were the people in Crusoeville or in that community to you building the schools? How did they help? And what do you envision the community will do once the schools is open?
Okay. Initially, when I bring back to the library thing because I got to find out there wasn't a library in Liberia when I was there, when I went back to visit, because I remember I used to go to, when I used to leave demonstration school, I would go to the Republic Library. Remember Republic Library on
Yep.
Ashland Street?
Public library
Yeah.
on Ashland
And they
Street.
have
What was that Liberian? Was it Sister Ruth, the Liberian with that she had her funny glasses? I forgot her name.
You remember?
Yeah.
small lady
Yeah.
from Baptist Church or somewhere.
Yeah, she used to be at the Republic Library right there on Ashland Street, opposite the Centennial Pavilion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
It's now
yeah.
it used to be
Upstairs.
now the place for voting, the archives or something. That's where they have it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So initially, we had a land in Crusoeville, and that's where I wanted to build a library. So we have had the bricks and everything there to start the library. And then the commissioner at the time, he knew that what we were trying to do. He said, well, you're going to build a library here, but there aren't very many schools. So you're going to put the books in here. Nobody going to come. So he said, there's a village in that area that they're willing to give you a land if you build a school there. And that's what took us to that village. And they donated the land, but we had to pay money for the survey and everything. And that's how we got the land. So initially, I had people doing all the work, and our people, the villagers, they want compensation when they do stuff, which of course is okay. So they were a little bit receptive to us, and they have been, and they have accommodated us. But as far as doing the manual work, we still have to pay people to do the work out there. They want money to clean, to keep the landscaping going. And that's one thing I think we have to have people in these communities that would tell the people that live in the communities that when people from the diaspora, I don't know if Anastasia goes through this problem, to let people know we're not doing it because we want positions in government. We're doing it because people did it for us. We're just trying to keep the door open for other people. Believe it or not, when I went there and did the groundbreaking, I think I sent you the pictures. People were around me. Oh, are you doing it because you want to be senator or representative? Can you imagine? Because they are not used. Yeah, they're not used to these kind of things happening. That we can leave the diaspora and fly down there, leave our family, and do it, and not wanting anything back in return. Because that's what they're used to. They're used to people, they're senators, they're representatives, people who are running to be presidents or whatever. That's what they do. They do these little makeshift things, and then they want people to come around there and print the t-shirt and do these photos. I mean, that's why I used to tell the township, I say, I'm not doing this because I want to be anything. I'm just doing this because I feel the need to give back. That little boy brought me to that village. And that's where I want this thing to continue and keep continuing. And with Anastasia, I really appreciate what you're doing. Sorry, I didn't get back to you for us to continue based on our initial conversation, but it's good we're back together. And we have to do this thing. I really like what you're doing. And to do it in Lofa County.
No, that's
imagine that.
Papolu. Yeah, but
imagine the treacherous condition, the driving to get back to those places. And you are doing it. but our officials cannot do it. Why? Well, I'll leave that political part of it. I don't want people to think I'm bringing the
Okay,
politics into it.
so maybe
Yeah.
we can go to some comments and hear what and see what people are saying. Margaret Mapu Dyson is watching. Pale Morris say awesome live video. Pale Morris, sorry, Glenda Jean Jr. say love. She's showing love. Salomon Moses is watching. Willett Dunbar said we share similar backgrounds. I've seen Teresa's convent, Anastasia. I spent my entire K through 12 academic life within those gates. I was classmate with Bernarda Simmons. Where and how is she today? Okay,
thank you. That's my sister.
You can catch up with her later. We said, well, thank God for my knowledge of the Pele dialect. Having left home since 1970 and only returning for visits, my Pele stuck with me. Oh, that's good. Greetings, Dwight. Where is Tobias Johnson? If my memory serves me right, you all are related. Oh,
she got everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, she knows the family, Dwight.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll let them by again. Sunshine, water, and fresh air. You will find them everywhere. Just follow us, and you will see how well and happy you will be. I bet this rings a bell from way back. Okay. Alison Saba said, Anastasia, when it comes to classrooms, should the students rotate or teachers? The reason I'm asking this, most schools believe that library is a conducive place for research. True, but the actual learning process is done in the classroom. But students are constant in one location. So my prayers are students should rotate and every classroom should be a library. Mr. Example, math teacher remains in a math classroom. With all of the high school math books are there and so forth. So those, don't they do that in high school?
They do that in high school, but I don't know about library. Yeah, high school, the children go.
They rotate, yeah.
Yeah, they rotate, yeah. Cici Goya says CRT is way more than what you are discussing. Okay, but time will not allow us to go into culturally relevant teaching in depth, but we know what it is here. This is an oversimplification and misunderstanding of CRT. Well, okay, well, and those are some of the culturally relevant teaching encompasses what Anastasia is saying as well as what other people are saying. It's just that if we have an hour show, we cannot go into everything. But culturally relevant teaching is that it must reflect the values and the mores of the community where it is situated, and that comes with language teaching, that comes with learning ways of conflict resolution, that comes with a lot of things.
Oh yeah, it has a whole
lot.
Yeah.
It helps students to uphold their cultural identities. Yes. That's the main thing. We want to uphold it while they are developing fluency in other cultures. But the main thing is to uphold that culture which we have, and that's what's missing from us.
It's like I mean, some of the things we learn is like on Mama Point when we're climbing those steps to go to Miss Abaita Johnson or to Miss Mary Taylor's house, you got to knock, and you're not entering the front door. You go to the back.
Back, yeah.
But the back, as children, we thought that you go into the back, but the back makes you family. You see, you are family. You go into the back because whatever they are doing in the back, it will not scare you because they're family. But a stranger comes in the front. You accord that stranger also respect. They're coming in front. So those things, those cultural values, come into the society. Growing up, if you're courting somebody, your grandma is sitting right in the living room listening to everything you say, and things like that. One of the I think it was D'Souza's book. I'm not sure, but one of the things he wrote about in Kenya was that one time he was lost. Right, he was in Nairobi. He was lost, and he was going to an important meeting, and he met this person on the street, and he said, "Oh, I need to go to this place. Can you show me?" Right, and the man took him, and instead of being grateful to say, this man, they didn't want me to get lost, and he took me. He said, "Oh, but these Africans, they have a lot of time on their hands. He couldn't just show me where the place was. He had to take me all the way there." And I said to myself, what a misrepresentation or a misreading of the African culture. Even maybe that man also was late for an appointment, but he felt that he should take you because you were a stranger in his country, and here you are making fun of him and saying he didn't have somewhere to go or somewhere to be, and so he was wasting his time. So that's a very that's a misreading of the African culture. It may differ a little bit from country to country, but there's a thread. There's a thread there, and those things are reflected in the society, but it should also be reflected in the educational system of the country. So if you're teaching people about sharing, you teach them, because in Liberia, we always give out the strangers our best. So we teach them that, to say, okay, sharing now, it's always the best that you can give. Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting, listening to both of you, and actually I was listening and I was like, hey, growing up, they did bad things to us too with those which you have been with Anastasia's class, but also, things, Anastasia, like putting your name up when people fail, how Dwight used to put your name listed.
So even if your parents were illiterate, they still, once they saw the red ink, they knew that you didn't make it. Or even nobody needed to explain to them that, so the red ink means you fail.
And a round table would be much better than what we used to do. Dwight, if you remember what we used to do, we used to, like, the people who were top in the class, they would sit in front. And then the people who, and maybe the man who is sitting at the back, maybe he has eye problem. You don't know.
That's why I say Anastasia thing with that circle. It's important.
You don't know at all.
Because
you talk about the back door, coming through the back door. Our culture says come through the back door, but the American culture says I want to be up front. So you see. So now I can't go to the village and say come to the front. That's not how they understand it. They understand that I'm a friend, I'm safe, I'm a part of them when I come through the back. But the American men say I have to come through the front. So you see, you can have that little conflict there. So you have to go around it and try to explain it the best way you can and demonstrate it for children to see.
Coming through the front, or even asking questions. As children, we were not told to ask questions. And one of the things is that, like, if someone is speaking to you in Liberia, that was way back. Maybe now the kids you wouldn't look them in the eye. You bend your head down. You assume you have a submissive demeanor and things like that. And then you come to this country and the people see you acting like that. They think you're stupid. But the thing, I would be very polite to somebody, or I wouldn't want to meet their eyes, and they would say, "Oh, you're lying to me." So you have to teach yourself to look somebody in the eye. And for me, it was very difficult, as I'm sure for the both of you. But when you're teaching it in a classroom in Liberia, Anastasia, let's say the community says you must be subservient in your demeanor. So how do you teach a child who is in a Liberian classroom to say, this is how you should present yourself as, somebody who's strong, but when you go home, this is how it becomes tricky. It becomes tricky, but I guess context matters,
it's all about contextualization.
Yes, it sure does matter. It is a tricky thing, though. And so that's why we have to run that with that thin line. This is why it's so important to get the community involved. The community, they have to see themselves as stakeholders. So they have to, and as long as you can recognize that, I think you can get a long way. We're coming up in school, you talk about the cleaning up the classroom. We clean up our classrooms. School, let's say school is over at 1:00. 12:45, everybody start packing up. You have two persons assigned that week for cleaning up. One person has their basket going around, and everybody put their thing in and start sweeping the classroom. On Friday and Saturday weekends, that's when they do the major thing with the scrubbing of the floors. That's when the other people do that, the custodians and stuff like that. So those are things that you're giving free education, But those are things you explain to the parents. We're going to do this, we'll do this. You don't have to buy uniforms, you don't have to do this. But if on Saturday, all of us come together,
Yes.
clean up the school.
Yes.
Meanwhile, during the week, children are assigned to do little things around the classroom. And maybe at the end of each week, you recognize the class, that's the cleanest room you have in there. You recognize them, you put them up, everybody clap. You gave something to the class, everybody, So you celebrate those little things. And then the children now, because they want their classroom to be the cleanest room in the building,
yes,
getting their parents to come on Saturday to have them clean their classroom.
Yes.
All the parents in our classroom will be there to ensure that it's a clean room for the children to come on Monday. So all of those little things, you're teaching a subject, bring some of those parents in.
It shows ownership. It shows ownership. Yeah,
you're talking about farming. And you have all the farmers in the village and you bring one of them in to explain the process. Then something's wrong. You're talking about fishing. They got fishermen. Let them come and explain what they do, what time of the day they go fishing, what's best, what time is best to go fishing and why is it best to go fishing at that time. So they get it firsthand that, but when you read it from the book, they don't quite get it. But they see this man who goes at a certain time, they notice him leaving the village at a certain time, and they notice when he's coming back, he has a whole basket full. So because he goes to at that certain time, he brings his basket. Maybe it's quiet and everything, so he can work. When it's quiet, the fish will come in. All those kinds of things. But we have to get them in as stakeholders.
And the students have to start doing it as early as possible in the educational cycle. They showed the University of Liberia the other day, and I said, why don't people just have like a country cook? Isn't what it's called? People cook and come and we clean Tottenham Hall or something. And people were insulting. I don't know, this new thing of just insulting people. It's the government's job. Who do you think? You are part of the government. And this is civics in action. You can clean the place. You can make it competitive. Tottenham Hall versus Science Building. Let's see who will clean it nicely. But you have to take pride in these things because civics it's not just taught in the classroom. It extends to in practice also. Sam Wallow said that depends, Jackie. What I remember is the back door was for indigenous people in some places, and so was the offer of a zinc cup to drink out of when water was requested. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, for us on Mama Point, it was always the back door. And if you were selling something, you would not come through the front door. You sell things through the back door. And for that zinc cup, Sam, we used to have zinc. We used to have those iron plates. You remember, Dwight?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, that used to happen. Let me just give you a little bit of memory lane. We used to eat out of the tin plate every day except Sunday.
Sunday, you eat it breakable plate.
Yeah, but let me tell you. So when you have your spoon and you're eating on the tin plate, if your spoon hits the tin plate and it keeps hitting the tin plate, my grandmother would say, "Oh, you finished eating now," so she will take the food from you. So we learn to eat with the spoon. It will hit the plate. It wouldn't make a sound. We learn how to eat. And I remember one time my uncle, because he really wanted to eat, he put the spoon that he started eating with his hand so it doesn't make noise.
No noise,
And my grandmother came and said, "No, you have to eat." And then on Sunday we would eat with the porcelain plates. But I guess Sam's experience was different. Yeah.
Right.
River says, "Pro say her name reminds me of the Russian. Oh, those little things. The daughter of the Shah Nicholas. Yeah, it was a sad story. Yeah, Princess Anastasia. Anastasia. Oliver Zodua said it's the same when it comes to front door and back door, because only you as a family can go through the back door because you know how to go out. I think throughout. Yeah, that's true. We never went through the front door. Never. Saki Tango said the community has to be a major part of education programs. In Liberia, there's a disconnect between schools and community. It's true. When my kids were in school, I mean, I was even the PTA president. We were having big cookies and things like that, and I was like, what kind of thing is this? I never did this in Liberia. But I know one thing in Liberia. If they're beating you in a school, you better pray let them beat you in a school, because when you come home and your mother has to take you back to that school, that double beating,
Yep.
you know. So
Yep.
the thing is, we have to have a new holistic way of educating our
Right.
children.
Right.
We need to put voluntarism into the
Right.
classroom and into the society. You know, I
Right.
got a lot of insults when I said November 29 should be a day of volunteering. You know, instead of
Yeah.
people, those students, those kids running on the beach, on the beaches, they should be volunteering, keeping Liberia clean. The government cannot do everything. So,
Right.
I want to invite both of you to come back, talk at length about the curriculum and about the school. Dwight, once the school is open, definitely we will have you back. But
Right.
we want to thank both of you for making time this Sunday, this cold Sunday, to come on and to talk
Right.
to us about your work. We will end now with Anastasia. We open with Dwight, so we'll close with Anastasia and then Dwight before I make my final comments.
Dwight, thanks very much. I'm excited about meeting you. But anyway, before I even say what I have to say, Dwight, we still have those materials. What we've done, Dwight, together, the school in Lofa and the school in Babalu, we have built a shed with materials all in there, and then we have materials in the garage and everything. So we have to work together, do a little
Right.
fundraiser so that we can get a container, so we can put those things in, so that they can go to your school and the other two schools in Liberia. Yeah, it was good being out here today. I really, learned a lot from from the discussion. And Liberia needs all of us, all of us. There are lots of people on the ground, lots of organizations on the ground that are doing some awesome work for our people. We have people who are offering interventions like Janine, EPS educators with solutions. They are doing a wonderful job over there doing teachers training, and you have Teach for Liberia. You have a lot of people and Teach for, I think, Educate Liberia also. So it's time for all of us to come together, and we pray that the people on the ground, that they embrace us. They embrace us. For me, I don't need a job. My thing is, 2 years from now, I won't be sitting in Babalu drinking my coconut water, going into the classroom and coming out. That's what I want to be able to do. So someone wants to call.
Oh, I don't
So
know how to do it. So maybe Anthony can put them on.
yeah. So I look forward to working with you, Dwight. Marilyn and I will be there to assist
Yeah.
along the way. We redesign, we make that classroom culturally relevant, we make it child friendly so our children can learn. And working with the Porte family is not a new thing for us. Because there was the Brother Porte Library. We
Yeah.
worked with them. Yes, we did a lot with them. It was a great opportunity for us. We even worked with the adult literacy program, which was housed over there too. So it's a good thing. Thank you very much, Jackie. Look forward to more.
Okay, I think the person can call. Anthony said that they can call Saki Tango. You can call. The lines are open. Okay, while we're waiting for him, there's another. Sam Wallow said that was the experience in many places in Liberia back then. Class-based society. Surprised this panel was unaware. Sam, we
Oh, wow.
know that there are some people who used to do that, but you must understand something. My great grandmother was from Rocktown, and then she came to Monrovia. She brought a young man from Salala on a farm, and there was no distinction. If they watched parts on Saturday, we will watch the part on Monday. So we were
Right.
all one. So there were no indigenous people coming to the back and the other people coming to the front. And I know Miss Abaita Johnson and Miss Bernice Porte
Mm,
did the
Right.
same thing with Dwight. So there were no distinction. So there was
Right.
no, if the front door was only for visitors, whether you
Right.
were indigenous or you were a settler, that it was just the front door, so maybe the other people had it, but we did not have that. Yeah, so if Mr. Saki Tango cannot call, then we'll ask Dwight for his closing comments.
Well, again, thanks, Jackie, for bringing me on, and thanks, Anastasia, for connecting again live this time. And to tell you the truth, I've long been, like I always tell people, I'm not an educator. I don't have expertise in that. I'm a nurse. If you give me medications and needles, I can take care of that. So I hope most of my comments on here, people don't assume that it's, in gold. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to people with the expertise to come and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And like, I'm open to any kind of criticism when it comes to what we have going on in Liberia, especially for the school. So I hope no one takes my comments and my statistics as binding. It's just what I've seen. And I most of my things are based on common sense. What I saw in Liberia is what I think we should go ahead and do. And as far as the diaspora, I think most of you who've seen me, most of my posts is centered on let's come together and do this. Let's come together and do this. And I hope, and I really appreciate your network, focus on Liberia, Jackie. You guys have these various segments, and it's glad that you bring people on to, I hope more of this can be carried out on the other networks to bring educators, bring other areas, other expertise, and other curriculums, and other people with different backgrounds because we need this to move Liberia forward. It cannot all be about politics. Yeah. We can't just do that, because the politicians, 103 of them would do what they want to do, but the rest of us, 4-5 million, can change minds. And I always tell people, let's focus on the 13 years and under. They are, according to Mandela, the young ones today are the future of tomorrow. That was the quote from Mandela. So if we don't focus on these kids and nurture them in ways, look at that classroom in Lofa County. Tell me, 10, 20 years from now, if those kids will come on Facebook and insult people. Liberians have, and I hope we can launch a campaign to tell people there are ways to communicate if you don't agree with someone. Yes, 2 days ago, I got berated on Facebook. This lady insulted me for 2 days. I think some of my friends on there saw the insult and they reported her page. I told her, I'm like, why? Don't report her. Let her be there. I don't care. I wasn't raised to insult anyone. But this thing has to change. These people are raising children. So what are they raising their kids to become? But that's for another day. But I really appreciate the discussion here tonight. And I hope people don't take most of the things that we said as binding. This is what we see. This is what we think can move Liberia forward. And I hope to have an opportunity again to come on to talk more about what we're doing in Liberia. And I hope the diaspora, again, people like us, please don't paint us with one brush. You may have had someone that 3 years ago were into charity work and they used that position to parachute their way into government. That's not me. I don't think that's not Anastasia, because she's doing it, still doing it. She's been doing it for years, and you can see the fruit of her work. Don't come and say Dwight is doing it because he wants to furnish his lifestyle. No, I don't want to do that. Or Dwight is doing it because he want to go and work in Liberia. No, I am not going to close up my shop or my good life here in America to go and get into that muddy water called politics or into government job. I'm saying it for the record. Write it down. That's not what I'm doing it. And please, when we reach out to you for support, if you see the work, you cannot tell me what Anastasia is doing. If she says she wants to have a fundraiser, this is something that you can contribute to. You can't see what I'm doing and say this is something you can contribute to. That's why we're very transparent on what we do. And so we're begging all Liberians, don't give up on our country. Let's do what we can do together and move it forward. We look at Rwanda, we're all happy when we look at Rwanda. We look at Ghana, we are excited. Let Rwandans and Ghanaians look at Liberia too and say they want to emulate for us. So I thank you again. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you both. Thank you so much. And please come back again to talk some more about your work, and we'll celebrate with Dwight once the school is open, and then Anastasia will get there to make sure you are culturally relevant. in that, but I know.
Gotta get the materials there, Dwight, so we have to
definitely.
Please help us. We need to get a container. We need to get materials to Lofa, to Crochettville, to Buffalo. So please, we'll be looking forward to your donations. Thank you.
Okay.
And one of the things is are educational materials free? I mean, can they enter the country free, or do you have to clear them from the port?
Yeah, with the duty free at the port, we will utilize that.
Is it duty free for educational materials?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah. Okay, so thank you both again. And like we say, please come back. We'll celebrate with Dwight once the school is open. And then Anastasia will go there with her rubric to make sure that it fits everything. We'll assess it. Yeah, but thank you all so much, for what you're doing, so that when people say, oh, those in the diaspora just want jobs. No, we're not looking for jobs. Honestly,
no, we're not.
We don't want your job.
No, we don't want your job. No, they can save my tip. I don't want that job.
But like the song, our ending song always says, we are all Liberians. So whether you are for culturally relevant teaching, whether you're for the old school of teaching, we're all Liberians, and let's try and we always say, let's try and uplift the country. No country is 100% bad. So please, let's try and uplift the country. So good night. Have a safe week that's coming up. Mask up. And try and keep warm for those of you in the cold areas. And good night. Yes, mask up. Yes.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberian.